Someone in your energy has started having mystical experiences since they have connected with you. At first, it feels like the nature of this sort of overwhelmed this person. They were attracted to you romantically. They like your personality. They think you're good looking. They like the vibe that you put out. And so they took steps towards you thinking that this would be just like any other sort of crush or attraction that they had to someone, and it's almost like you've blown their mind as far as the layers inside of themselves that are now activating and coming online just by the sheer velocity of the experience of connecting with you. So you may be somebody who is very spiritual, very high vibrational, or this is something that can also speak to kind of like a fated encounter with like a high level soulmate where you have each activated one another to take steps on your own kind of like personal ascension journeys and to be able to therefore experience like a higher level love with one another. It feels like this is somebody that has probably gotten tarot readings about you in this circumstance. They may have consulted with other people that they've known that were, kind of spiritually minded, people that are very empathic, kind of like, what do you think of this person? What do you think of this situation? Because I feel so drawn to them. It feels right, but at the same point in time, like my life has definitely changed since I've come into contact with them. I'm having all of these kind of like maybe very vivid dreams, very prophetic dreams, a lot of downloads, a lot of changes energetically speaking, that this person, it feels like, is sort of like open minded enough to be able to pinpoint as happening since they've had the occurrence with you, since they have met you, since they have been getting to know you, since they have been spending time in your company. And so this is somebody that feels like at this point in time, the feedback that they've gotten or like the conclusion that they've come to on their own is that they are in this process of being prepared spiritually to have some kind of higher experience with you. This person has a lot of reverence for you. They see you as like a sacred being, either that is upon this earth at this time or that definitely has come into their life as a very sacred presence. And so it feels like the next steps that they want to take forward in this connection are not just things that are like conscientious or trying to be very like open emotionally, but this is somebody that recognizes this highly like spiritual component, or that you've been like divinely guided towards one another. That spirit is protecting this connection. A lot of signs and synchronicities from the universe that are very unmistakable, very hard to ignore, very hard to overlook, that are now kind of nudging this person in the direction of that spiritual component, which it feels like is an internal and like personal process first and foremost, but then definitely translates in some sort of way in terms of action steps towards you. That there's a lot of importance being placed on that momentum being right, the timing being right for that, their state of mind being right for that, balance within them being right. This person could be going through, the process of like clearing energies in their life. They could be, doing kind of like energetic resets. This person may be, getting Reiki. They may be kind of like doing cord cutting, rituals to sort of like clear things out. It feels like this is somebody that's trying to like recalibrate themselves to welcome in this next chapter between the two of you, to really capitalize on this very unique spiritual experience that they are having with you here in the material plane, because they've never thought something like this was possible for them. This may be somebody who has like seen or has heard of other people that have had very like spiritually based connections, like true soulmates, not just like, ooh, I found someone that's really good for me and is like the love of my life, but things that had like a spiritual basis in it. This person may have like friends or relatives that are really into like a particular sort of type of spirituality, like a spiritual path or practice. So it's like this concept is not entirely unfamiliar to them, which it feels like is why they've kind of sought out these outside resources, these like second opinions, these other sort of perspectives as far as like what is happening to them at this point in time, and also kind of what this means happens between the two of you, like sort of what's happening between the two of you, and what can happen moving forward. It feels like this person is really trying to be very like still and sort of listen for their higher guidance, listen for their internal guidance as far as steps that they need to take in order to sort of like purge their energy, cleanse their energy, clear their energy. This person may be, like doing vision quests or other sort of like sacred ceremonies just to sort of like calibrate themselves and attune themselves into a place of like balance within, where whatever happens next between the two of you represents like a complete and total closing of the door to the past, like a past version of themselves, or the way in which love has represented itself or has shown up for them in the past for them, so that with both eyes open they can kind of like move forward with you into this experience of whatever is to unfold, in terms of this like higher level love or the potential for that. Yeah, we've got owl. So this person is definitely listening to their intuition at this time, learning to see in the dark. This is somebody, it feels like, that is confronting certain fears, maybe as far as what they're experiencing spiritually, and kind of like trying to ground themselves into the reality that like, yeah, this is happening. Their third eye is wide open. Their crown chakra is wide open. Some kind of mechanism has been triggered inside of them that it feels like is lifting this person up into like a higher emanation of themselves or an upgraded version of themselves, while at the same point in time kind of offloading sort of illusions or energies or circumstances or things that they were drawn towards or that they resonated with, or that they had kind of envisioned for themselves as like matters of importance, or sort of the future as they had it mapped out for themselves. They're recalibrating and recalculating a lot of things at this particular point in time, which it feels like even if there's like silence between the two of you, like periods of silence, there's a lot that is going on behind the scenes during those periods of time. There's a lot that this person is not just sort of feeling into their feelings and like thinking about things, but they're really building their relationship with like their higher self or with spirit. They may be getting back in alignment with like a spiritual path that they were familiar with, or that they had explored at an earlier point in their life and had kind of just, left by the wayside, had either like turned away from, or it just wasn't really like a priority in their life because other things took over, or they had like other sort of matters at hand to tend to, or it was just something where there was like a necessary period of time of kind of wandering in other directions. And it feels like they've come back around to things that are familiar as a way to, kind of bridge that gap and that distance between their 3D self and the higher self. And this also speaks to the energies of even kind of seeking out information in other ways, primarily about kind of what's happening with them. So maybe this is somebody that is starting to kind of understand about like energy, quantum entanglement, spiritual awakening, ascension, all of that stuff. Something where they're exploring different sorts of traditions. They're looking for answers like outside of the box, consulting people that are not just like randoms that they find on the internet that are, professing to be knowledgeable about such things. But it feels like this is somebody that at least knows like one person that would be sort of familiar with concepts like this or something like this, somebody that is like highly spiritual, highly aligned with a particular path, that they are seeking advice from. They're kind of like sharing their experiences with, or almost kind of like getting the blessing of this individual or other people in order to, stay the course of sort of navigating through this process of becoming for themselves, in order to be able to step fully into the light and kind of take you by your hand and move forward, not just in the direction of like a new possibility of love, but something that they almost see like that their life is now on kind of this precipice of change, that what is happening for them personally and whatever can happen between the two of you romantically, that they're not going to walk away from this like the same person that they were prior to meeting you. Like their eyes are open. You've activated something within this person, and this is somebody, it feels like, that is trying to participate with that very consciously. This is somebody that's not trying to like fight the current, but there's almost a sense of like, I need to find information about this. I need time to kind of go through this process of like recalibration and attunement. It feels like they're trying to tune into your energy. There may be a lot happening in like conscious meditation between the two of you, where this person is kind of like extending beyond the threshold of just, I'm sitting here and fantasizing about this person, and this is almost like I'm reaching out to touch upon your energy, and I'm feeling you reaching back towards me. So it feels like there's a lot happening within that sort of subtle realm that it feels like is providing this person reassurance as they're sort of trying to reconcile how they move forth as their material self and as this kind of like hyper conscious being now that they are recognizing themselves as, or that they have the potential to evolve into in those kind of higher realms and higher dimensions. We also have beloved. So this person definitely, it feels comfortable with the idea of like, you're my soulmate, not just like, you know, you're the best person that I've met and you fit in very well with sort of my material requirements, but this is something where it's almost like our souls align very deeply. This is somebody that is setting the intention at this particular point in time. Like when we open the doors to this love story fully, I don't just want to make promises to you and remain loyal to that like forever, but this is something that feels like it's a rite of passage for the two of us spiritually. This is somebody that may want to, you know, have particular ceremonies between the two of you if this would lead to marriage that goes beyond just kind of like, you know, legal things. This is somebody that wants to sort of build that spiritual basis within a connection with you, a romantic connection with you. And it feels like they've never had that in a circumstance before. They might have had, you know, relationships with people that were like, you know, spiritually open or religious, or maybe people that weren't. If they had turned away from things, they may have gone, you know, in the direction of people that just had no beliefs whatsoever about anything, that were just very materialistic. You know, if I don't see it, I don't believe it kind of an energy. But with you, there's almost the sense of kind of like, this is sort of like a higher aspect of what's possible in love that is reaching for us, that is kind of like bridging the gap between the two of us, that is inviting the two of us to come to a deeper understanding within ourselves in terms of what's possible in love and in life. And so the expansiveness that is taking place in this person's like internal world and the ways in which that's rippling out in their external reality, maybe even kind of strengthening their relationship or connection with people or individuals that they are, you know, sort of communing with about this. They're getting advice from, you know, they're consulting. This is helping to kind of like build up some sort of a deeper spiritual life that it feels like is leading to this person during this process of kind of questing. It's creating a lot of inner peace for them. It's almost like this connection with you has sparked something inside. It's sparked a journey for this person that is helping to bring them closer to these kind of missing aspects with themselves, or like an underdeveloped aspect of how they move through the world that they didn't know was kind of lacking in terms of generating their own wish fulfillment for themselves. So as confusing as this part of the journey is, as scary as it may be at times, and even as kind of uplifting as it may be, and then the challenge is how to like ground that sort of ecstatic energy into the 3D and sort of carry on with the life that they're living, sort of the ordinariness, you know, of the day. Like they reach that enlightenment, but they still gotta fold the laundry, like that kind of a thing. You know, how to go about the world in that way, that they're seeing that you are like the best thing that's ever happened to them. This influence, this experience, this connection is the best thing that has ever come into their life. And so this is somebody that's very excited for what the future holds between the two of you, because there's a sense that it feels so right and such a long time in coming to have been able to connect with someone that doesn't just kind of bring concepts of spirituality or your own beliefs and your own practices, your own experiences to the table, but that even before any of that was introduced out loud into the circumstance, this person felt a shift within. You know, times when you communicate and you interact with one another, they feel that charge, that potency between the two of you so profoundly. And in the times where, you know, you step away into your own lives, or they take some time to themselves, they can feel that. They can feel kind of the residual sort of effects of this experience. They can feel you from afar. They can feel more deeply into themselves. into who they are, beyond kind of the common understanding that they had of that, or the focus or the emphasis. And this is somebody, it feels like, that is being very proactive on that kind of like personal growth and evolution and acceleration journey, because there's a sense of like, I don't want to miss a moment with you. I don't want to delay this process. I want to move as quickly as I can through these steps of evolving into this greater understanding of myself, or, things that are kind of like changing, or that need to change, for this person, or that they feel inclined to kind of fine tune within themselves, in order to be able to stand very presently with you, without kind of like one foot in the past, energetically or actually, and kind of the expectation of let's move forward together. This is somebody that is like, I want to do my part to make sure that, everything is kind of cleansed from me, actually, energetically, spiritually. I want to cleanse my perceptions. I want to cleanse my energies. I want to cleanse my environment, or even just my mindset, in order to be able to kind of take in the fullness of this experience with you very organically, so that we are building forth in that direction of long-term partnership. And this person, it feels like they want forever with you. And so there's a sense of almost like, this is a necessary step for the two of us. We have this opportunity at this point. We've been invited in this way, to create almost this higher vibrational love here in the material plane. So yeah, of course, sign me up for that. I want this experience with you. So they're very enthusiastic, very open-minded, very curious at this particular point in time. And it feels like you'll start to feel sort of the shift in that with this person. The more that kind of they take this time to sort of align with that kind of higher emanation of themselves and what's possible with you, they're going to bring a lot of that into your interaction. So you may notice that the things they start talking about, or that they focus on, are different. The vibe between the two of you is different. You may notice when this person goes through those periods of purging and kind of recalibration, and then their presence is a lot stronger when they are with you. That there's a lot more of that kind of palpable sort of like higher connection within the material connection between the two of you. So this person definitely recognizes this higher level love, that has entered their life, and that you have activated something within them. And there's a sense that they are, again, kind of leaning into this. They are looking at this. They are not turning away from this. And they're very excited about kind of like what happens next between the two of you. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.